Welcome to the Scoopz podcast, y'all. It's your girl, Two Scoops, coming with part one of how planning my family reunion left me traumatized. That's right, traumatized. Thanks for tuning in with me today, and it's a blessing to be here to share my story with you all. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Two Scoops. I am a city slash country girl. Let me explain. My parents, both are from Mississippi, and I was born in Chicago. But I spent a lot of my time in Mississippi, so that's got the phrase of city slash country girl, because Chicago, Mississippi, I be back and forth. And yeah. So other than that, I have a wife, a beautiful wife of 3 years now. I also have a dog named Bubba. He's a miniature bulldog, and he does skates. He gets on his skateboard and does all type of tricks, and it's a joy to watch him. And I'm also an entrepreneur. We have a brand called the HW Shop. You see it? And check us out on Etsy. We got some cool things over there, some shirts and some accessories, and it's always changing depending on the season. But let me get back to the reason we're here, which is this reunion. Okay, so like I said, I just want to take the time to share my story. Maybe some of y'all can relate to what I had to deal with, and maybe this will be an insight for some of y'all who are considering planning one. Some things to think about, some things to consider on whether you want to do this reunion. Okay, so let's just get into it. We will be discussing the reason I decided to plan the reunion, choosing the committee members, securing location, having tastings, planning, pricing, catering, the family drama, the t-shirts, the meet and greet, the reunion, the family drama. Yeah, I say it like that because it was a lot. But despite all of that, it really was a beautiful event. So that's the part that I'm excited to share with you, that, through it all, whatever I went through, it turned out to be a beautiful event. And I'm so thankful for that, despite, whatever happened. So let me just give y'all a little history on my family and the background. So my family has been having reunions in Chicago for 50 years now. Most of them have been at the Dan Ryan Woods in Chicago, off of like 83rd and Western over there, usually around the third weekend in August. So as a child, I used to love to go to a reunion to see my family and get some good food and just have a good time, dancing contests and all type of, activities and events. Oh, I look forward to it. So in 2023, my aunt Bernadine decided to have the reunion in her backyard. Now, mind you, we hadn't had the reunion in a few years because of the pandemic. So this was like the first reunion post-pandemic. And it was last minute, but she was just like, hey, it's about being with family. Everybody bring a dish, come to my backyard, and we're just going to be with family and have a good time. And that's exactly what happened. We was in her backyard, and we had a good time. And when I tell you she had a turnout, It was at least 100 people in her backyard. I don't even know how everybody fit back there, but they was back there. And it was a beautiful thing to see. So during that reunion at her house, me and her had a conversation, and she was like, y'all need to get together and do something for the next year. It's going to be the 50th anniversary. Y'all need to get together and plan something. And I said, well, hey, auntie, I said, I don't want to step on nobody's toes. I know there used to be a committee and all of that going on. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes. She said, well, no, that committee dissolved. Y'all young folks need to plan a new committee. You know, so that's what she said to me, and I went home and I thought about it. I thought about it, and you know, I had a conversation with my wife. But while I was thinking about it, I was thinking this is gonna be the 50th, and what a great way to honor my aunt. Short story: my aunt is one of the founding members as well. So my namesake, Aunt Edith and Bernadine, they started the reunions 50 years ago together. But my aunt passed away in 2022. Unfortunately, she was cremated and she wasn't able to be laid to rest in our family cemetery in Mississippi. And so, with that being said, there was no service or memorial or anything. And a lot of us didn't have closure. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have closure. And so I always wanted to do something that would kind of honor her, in a sense. And so, like I say, I went home and thought about it. And my wife said, hey, uh, if you want to do it, I think you should do it. She said, the 50th. Wow. You know, that's a special thing, I know you've never done it before, but your time to do it, why wouldn't you do it on the 50th? And if you want to honor your aunt, I think that'd be a great way. So she basically said that, hey, if you want to do it, I'll be by your side, and I'll help you accomplish this goal of honoring her. And so, her by my side, I was like, oh, wow, maybe I can do it. Maybe I should do it. And then I started thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, who's going to be on my crew? Hey, y'all, it's your girl, Two Scoops, with the latest scoop. All right, y'all. In this week's news, we got Shannon Sharpie and his rape allegation. Apparently, he got some young thing, 20-year-old. Uh, he even offered her a 10 million settlement before this went out, and she was about to take the 10 million, but all of a sudden she pulled out, and now she's suing for 50 million, y'all. That's right. And guess what? She got the same lawyer that was going against Diddy and Jay-Z. Okay, so somebody telling her what to do. Okay. Now you got Ray J and Princess Love. These two, they go back and forth all the time. They like the modern day Whitney and Bobby Brown. Okay, remember that? But anywho, yeah, so they was kissing at Coachella. Somebody caught them on camera. And the next day, Ray J was like, you know what? Stop playing with me, Princess Love. You know what? I love you, but the divorce is still on. So, divorce is still on, I guess, for now. And next, we got Kanye, Chicago's own. I mean, he just told us that he was sucking his cousin dick till he was 14. Okay, now what type of shit is this? Kanye, come on now. All right. And then next, we got Diddy. Just want to let y'all know his case is starting soon with these sex crimes allegations. And jury selection starts May 5th. And I'm going to keep y'all updated. Stay tuned for more scoops with Scoop. So, once I decided I was going to plan this reunion, I had to figure out who I wanted on my team, right? So, the first person I called was my cousin RJ. And I'm like, man, RJ, he's done the reunion a few times. Um, I know he'll be a great assist with it. He probably has some great ideas. And so I reach out to RJ. Like, hey, man, think about doing this reunion. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And RJ said, hey, unfortunately, I won't be able to do it because, I have two young girls now, two daughters, and I have my businesses going on. I won't be able to pour into it the way I would like to be. So I'm gonna just be honest and let you know, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But if you need assistance with anything or help, don't be afraid to call me. I said, cool. The one piece of advice he did give me was to keep it simple. He said, keep it simple and it'll be easy peasy. Okay. So kept that, duly noted that advice, and I kept it moving. I didn't let him deter me. I just respected the fact that he was able to be honest. You can't. I would rather a person be honest with me and tell me they can't do it than to commit and then don't show up. So I respected that honesty. So after that, I moved on to my other cousin, Q. Q is one of my cousins that he's married and I'm married, and so we had kind of been like building our marriage circle, if you call it. It was just a support system, and it was great. It was growing. His wife and my wife get along, and of course me and him get along. So it was great. No complaints on that end. So I reached out to him, and he was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." He was like, he's very family oriented, and he was at the family reunion at my aunt's house, and so he was like, "Yeah, I'll be on the team." I said, "Cool." So then after that, I reached out to my brother, J Rock, and J Rock was excited. He was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this shit." I said, "Okay, cool, bro. I'm excited. I'm excited that you excited." So the next person was Q's brother, Jimmy. Reached out to Jimmy. Jimmy actually had the idea, y'all. He had the idea to have the reunion at the block club party. He's like, "Yo, we can have it on the block. That same day, we have a block club party every year. Why don't we just have it at the block club party?" And I was like, block club party does sound good, but this is the 50th. It needs its own event. It don't want to be commingled or mixed with, you know, another event. It needs to be separate. So maybe a different year, but not the 50th. So once I broke it down to him, he understood, and he was like, "Hey, I'm still with it. Like, we don't have to have it at the block up party, but I'm still with it." So I got my males on my team. I got Q, Jimmy, and J Rock. I said, "Wow, I really need to get me some women on this team because how I'm gonna survive with these men." So after that, I reached out to my cousin Nina. Uh, she is a member of a few different organizations. She's a busybody. She's an entrepreneur. She's a real estate mogul. Her hands is in so much stuff. And I reached out to her, and she was like, "Yeah, cuz I love to join." Cool. Got her on the team. I reached out to Brittany. Brittany is Bernadine's granddaughter. So I felt like I had a piece of her on the team, lineage. Reached out to Brittany. Brittany said, "Let's do it." She said, "I've been wanting to do it, so let's do it." You know what I'm saying? So got Brittany. Now the other leg, which I thought was important to me, was to make sure that my Mississippi family was included. And so I reached out to my younger cousin, Kelly, to see if, she wouldn't mind joining the team so that they could be well informed and updated on everything that was going on, because I heard they had some complaints about the one in 2023, about last minute, the location, just a few different things that they weren't happy about. So I wanted to make sure they was included and a part of what we had going on. So Kelly said, "Yeah, let's do it." So now I'm like, wow, I actually got a team together. I never thought I would have a team together, y'all. So I'm excited. They excited. So the next thing is to try to figure out what days we're going to meet, how often are we going to meet, where we're going to meet, everybody got different schedules. Some work days, some work nights, some got kids, some, just everybody got their own stuff going on. So, you got to work around these 7 individuals and find out a time that works for everybody. And so, luckily, we were able to. I think we started doing it like once a month in the beginning in October, and then once we figured out what day. It was a Sunday. We thought, okay, cool. We're gonna start having our meetings and going from there. And yeah, that's the beginning of it. And I'm over here shocked, you know. But it comes with location, planning next, and I never knew getting a location had so much red tape. You got to have insurance and you got to have the liabilities and you got to have all the paperwork. Y'all, especially in the city at the Forest Preserve, they be on it. But stay tuned for part two. And part two, we're going to talk about this location. We're going to talk about this first tasting that we had, y'all. They had me, I was a little embarrassed. It was, hey, I'm going to wait. I'm going to let y'all hear it because we had a tasting. And I'm going to save it for how it went because I felt embarrassed. It wasn't my pick. It was J Rock's pick. But needless to say, we had a tasting. And yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next episode.